Good afternoon. Welcome to the April 28th, 2026 Commissioners Meeting of the New York State Public Campaign Finance Board. I'm Barbara Lifton, Chair, and I'm joined today by Vice Chair Brian Kolb and Commissioners Keisha Gaskins-Nathan, Henry Berger, Esma Bagnola, Anthony Casal, and Peter Kaczynski. We have no old business today. We're going to start with new business. Taking up new business, we have one resolution to take up today, Resolution 2026-08, resolution related to effectuating Resolution 2026-07. Board members should have the resolution in their materials. I will now entertain a motion to proceed. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded to adopt Resolution 2026-08. This resolution is now before the board. Before opening the floor for board discussion, I will ask council to briefly summarize Resolution 2026-08.
Sure, Commissioner. This is a resolution to implement, effectuate, and defend the determination of the board made on March 31st related to Resolution 2026-07 and includes the engagement of outside counsel and the payment thereof.
Thank you. The motion is now open for discussion. Does anyone want to be heard?
Sure. I'll start. Why do we need outside counsel?
Well, Commissioner, I think, this is a complex litigation, and I think it's in the best interest of the board in defending that, in defending the suit to get experts in this field.
Based on my 20 plus years in the legislature, the Office of Attorney General has represented all state agencies and state employees when it comes to the point of litigation. Why is the Office of the Attorney General not taking up this case?
Due to the way that the lawsuit was filed and the parties were named, the board has to seek outside counsel, and the Attorney General would not represent us under the public officers law. They would have represented us if the commissioners had been named, but since the board was named by itself, we have to go this route.
Did the Attorney General put this in writing?
We have a letter from the Attorney General, yes.
Is there a reason that hasn't been shared with the commissioners?
I can't, I don't think generally we have shared those letters, but I don't see any reason why we cannot.
Well, I would think of
If it's been shared with your staff.
well, the significance of this, and if this is part of the resolution and part of the discussion and review of why we have to hire outside counsel, I think it's important that should have been part of this meeting in terms of forgetting staff for a second to each and every one of the commissioners. Because we are expending or going to expend taxpayer funds to engage with an outside attorney, which prompts me to a second question is, why are we not using internal counsel from both sides to deal with this particular matter?
Well, I think as I said it previously, I myself is not a litigator. This is complex litigation, and I think the board should get people who are experts in this area to bring the case forward. I would just point out that in terms of the public officers law and the payment of the funds, it is split 50-50 between the Attorney General and the agency due to the certain commissioners being named as State Board of Elections commissioners.
So we're going to, the AG's office is going to pay or reimburse or cover 50% of all the outside legal costs?
The comptroller's office ultimately pays, but yes, it comes out of, I believe, the fund. It's Public Officer Law 17 fund that we've used many times when the commissioners are named.
And what makes it, in your opinion, a complicated litigation? I think all litigation is complicated. So can you enlighten me as to what makes this so special from a litigation perspective?
Well, I think I agree with you. All litigation is complicated, and my personal background is like you was as a staffer for the legislature. So I would suggest that, you know, since I am not a litigator and we are not litigators on at least this side, that the best course of action is to get actual litigators in court who do Article 78 matters.
And have you, sorry, Andrew, go ahead.
I would just, this is Kristen, I would just also add that due to the timing, ballot access cases are ongoing and our staff is in court presently and has been in court, and they're otherwise occupied.
And
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Kolb. Is there further discussion?
yeah, I'm still discussing.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So
Please.
what, have you had any conversations or any discussions with an outside counsel prior to this meeting?
Yes,
And who might that be?
Chris Mastroeni from Hodgson Russ.
And is there a reason why counsel from the Republican side of the House that were not participating in that discussion?
Well, I believe that Republican counsel on the other side of the House, that Kevin Murphy, is representing you guys. Is that not correct?
Was he part of the, was he?
No.
Was he part of the dialogue with the outside counsel?
No.
How convenient. Somebody else can go.
Thank you, Commissioner Kolb. Is there any further discussion on this
I
resolution?
have a question.
2020?
May I ask a question, please? Madam
Yes.
Chair? Yeah.
Yes.
Has the outside counsel been engaged already?
They have been engaged for Commissioners Berger and Magnola because they were named as State Board of Elections commissioners. They have not fully been engaged for the Public Campaign Finance Board.
Individual you mentioned is already representing the two commissioners,
Yes,
Magnola and Berger?
correct.
Okay. So now that he's going to be representing me as one of the board members, what role do I play as far as reviewing paperwork, discussing with council? Do I have an opportunity to discuss with the council as well? As a member of the board who's being represented by this person?
Well, I mean, the board is being represented. I believe, Mr. Cassell, you are being represented by Mr. Murphy. Is that not correct?
Well, it's a little, yeah, I guess so, but I was on the impression that we already had councils appointed and we're going forward. We internally, I got the impression it was all being done internally until the other day when I heard they're talking about outside counsel. I'm a little confused by that. Not that that's unusual for me, but I am just a little concerned here that we're getting this at the very last minute. This looks like a retroactive activity here.
I can't speak to when you became aware of something, but we did speak to Republican staff of the board and had told them that we were going to get outside counsel.
But were our
Well,
counsel,
if you've already gotten counsel, why are we having this meeting today? What's the purpose of this meeting if you've already hired the counsel?
I don't think they've been fully engaged. This is to just to confirm that we are going this route.
Can I just ask, I'm sorry, Commissioner Berger, do you want to, I don't mean to protect you.
Yeah, I mean, look, my understanding, first of all, as a litigator, is that since this raises a new issue, a novel issue, we do need competent counsel, competent litigators to deal with this issue. And it's standard when an agency is sued, that it's up to the agency to provide counsel in their defense. And the agency decision, which was made at our last meeting, it's the issue that's being disputed. And so the agency needs counsel to defend the decision that the agency made. And, I think this is kind of straightforward. As a commissioner, I requested that I be represented. I understand other commissioners were comfortable with their inside counsel doing the representation. I cast no aspersions on our counsel, except that he said he's not a litigator. This is litigation. Having done election law litigation, it's sort of a unique field for those of us who have done it. And, I'm pleased that we're all going to be represented.
Commissioner, if I could just ask a question.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Kozinski.
Yeah, I just have a couple of questions too. So I guess I'm reiterating what Commissioner Cole brought up, which is I don't understand why the Attorney General is not representing the board. As he said, typically in state litigation, it's the Attorney General's office that would represent state agencies. And if your position is that this is a board representation, I don't really understand why the Attorney General is not doing the representation. My problem in some ways is that we're now being asked to spend money from the Public Campaign Finance Board, not for candidates for office, which was its intended purpose, but for lawyers. I think this is unprecedented that we would be siphoning money away from candidates potentially who would be qualified to participate in the program and be using it for lawyers. So I am troubled by that, that's what we're doing. In addition to that, I just think this idea that you've come to us today, and correct me if I'm wrong, aren't papers due today in the, aren't responsive papers due today in this litigation?
That's correct.
So this idea that you're coming to us today with this notice about hiring outside litigation, it just seems disingenuous to me. Clearly, this outside counsel has already been engaged. Obviously, they need time to prepare papers. They must have had this time to prepare papers. They can't, I'm assuming, because I haven't seen anything, but I'm assuming they're not doing them this afternoon to be filed this afternoon. So, to come to us here today at the 11th hour, or really the 12th hour, to ask for permission to go ahead and do this seems just disingenuous to me. Our side is not represented in this, apparently, because apparently all discussions have been occurring on the Democratic side of the operation, engaging the counsel and discussions about litigation strategy and whatever else you might be discussing with him have all taken place apparently on that side of the house and not with our side at all. So the three commissioners at the PCFB that voted no on this particular resolution don't appear to be getting any representation here or any opportunity to even discuss litigation with this outside counsel who I am not familiar with myself. But you're telling me, will we get a chance, to see papers, to see what's going on before they're already filed, or is this sort of a fait accompli?
I mean, if Republican counsel wants to see papers, I suppose that's possible. I would point out that, ethically, at attorney, the client is the Public Campaign Finance Board, which has a position and voted on that position. And so ethically, I think they would have a fiduciary duty to the agency. And so, if there's papers they would like to see, I suppose that's not too much of a problem, but I would just.
Well, it is a problem though, isn't it? Because
Duty
it is a problem, let's be honest. It's the 11th, it's the quarter to 12 hour or whatever it is. So it clearly is a problem getting papers to us to, review in any meaningful way. We are commissioners. There's 7 commissioners on this board, not 4. And we are commissioners of the PCFB, just like the Democratic commissioners as Republican commissioners. And, we have the same status, as I understand it, as the other commissioners. And yet we're being treated in a different way, I think, in this particular case, because we're not being consulted here until the very last second. You're looking to expend finances from this agency. which I'm guessing some expenses have already been incurred in this litigation, and yet here we are being asked, I guess, to retroactively approve this kind of expenditure of public campaign finance money. That's very troubling to me.
Commissioner Kozinski, if you're willing to join us in defending the decision of the board, we'd love to have your input. My understanding is that that's not your position and has not been your position all along. Our obligation as an agency is to defend the decision of the agency. And the Attorney General's practice is not to pay for counsel when an agency is sued. It's the agency's responsibility. And we should be clear that none of these expenses will come out of funds for the candidates. It comes out of our administrative budget where there is money available. So if you're willing to join us in defending the decision of the board that has been made, hop on board.
This is not about defending the decision. This is about, if I've got a lawyer that represents me, I have every legal right to talk to that lawyer because I'm part of the agency. This isn't about the vote. This is about the decision that was made by the board. You have 7 commissioners. You're saying that you hired a lawyer without my permission and without my knowledge until today. And if a lawyer is going to be paid to represent me as a member of the board, I have every right to be part of that discussion with the attorney. The attorney has no right, if he's representing the board, just to talk to the 4 of you that voted for it. That's nonsense, Henry, and you know it. You're an attorney. No, you're not going to be hired by anybody as a group, as a company, without them being notified as the specifics, what the position's going to be, etc. If someone's hired a lawyer for me as part of that board, I need to talk to that lawyer and have him explain to me what his position is going to be going forth in this litigation.
There are separate positions. The commissioners have been sued. We have our counsel. The agency has been named as a party, and the obligation of the agency is to defend the decision the agency made. That's separate from our individual representation.
No, it's not. The agency made a decision as a group, 4-3. I get the votes. There's no doubt about that. But the agency is now being represented by an attorney that I have not had the chance to speak to see what he's going to file ahead of time. And so this is, Henry, this is not about a vote. It's about the agency and a lawyer representing the agency, which I am a member of and a voting member of. And I have every right to talk to this attorney before those papers are filed, as well as every commissioner should. You're just trying to backdoor something that is wrong. It's unethical. As a lawyer, I can't believe you're even going along with this.
I respectfully disagree.
Well, of course you do, because this is what you want to do. So you pull out, well, I'm a lawyer, I know better. Well, you don't, because there's a lot of lawyers that work everywhere that lose cases. They don't take in all the sides of the argument. In hearing from us directly as to where we were coming from, that's part of his, if you will, due process, talking to all of us to get as much information as he can, or that they can. The fact that you're skirting our right to talk to our attorney and before or after papers are filed, it's immoral, it's unethical.
So are you joining us then in
shut up,
defending
Henry.
the decision that the
You're
board
fine.
has made? Are you joining us in
think-
defending the position that is the agency position? Are you
Bullshit.
joining us or not? Yes
It
or
was
no?
not the agency position.
It is the agency
voted, but
position.
it wasn't
It
the
was
position.
adopted by a vote and it's the position of the agency.
No,
So
it's
if you're
not.
willing to join us, hop on board.
Okay.
But I'm not
Okay,
hearing you
thank
say
you.
that you're willing to
And I'll
defend
tell
the
you what,
agency.
you pay for your own legal fees then, because you're the one that was named.
Okay, I think we're at the last word here on this debate. I think everything has been said. Debate's becoming repetitive at this point. I believe the board has heard
Barbara, it's repetitive.
all the
But
arguments.
there's separate points that have been made here.
Yeah,
Brian,
I'd just like to
is there
make, I'd just like to
some-
make
is there
my
some-
point again, though, because I think it's. a
Brian,
big point.
Mr. Commissioner Kolb, is there some new, Peter, is there something new
Yes.
point you want to
Yeah,
raise?
I
Okay.
say so.
Yes.
All
There's
right,
something
all right.
bigger here than just what's going on here today. I think in the sense that we are being asked to basically retroactively approve the expenditure of money by this agency. I think there's a real problem with that. because it appears to me, based on what I know, that this attorney's been retained, this attorney's being paid, or at least is incurring expenses, and there's been no approval by this agency to do that until today. And I think if that's going to become the policy of this agency, that's problematic going forward, that the agency is going to be asked, or the board's going to be asked to approve the expenditure of money that's already been incurred by something that was never brought to this board beforehand. And I'm troubled, very troubled by this timing of this, the process that's been used here, that we're being asked today to approve this expenditure of money, hiring of an attorney that, because papers are due today, must have already occurred in the past. And I think that process is troubling. I hate to see this agency going down that road, that we're going to be, this is going to become a common practice where decisions are made, expenditures are made, and then after the fact, you come to this board and say, here's a resolution to approve this. So I think there's a bigger issue here, and I'm very troubled by the way this is being handled.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner
Madam Chair.
Kuczynski. Yes, Commissioner
I
Casal.
think I can sum all of your activity up in 3 words: nunc pro tunc.
Agreed.
Thank you, Commissioner Casal. I think we'll let that be the last word unless Commissioner Berger, did you have one last comment you wanted to make or no? Okay. Clearly, we were in disagreement about this. This was seen as a pretty routine matter that got unroutine for some reason. And the resolution here is to clarify that the lawyers that have been retained, the litigators that have been retained are necessary for this suit. And it's time that we wrap this up and so that things can move along. So obviously this was all, in a tight time frame because of the elections. And so sometimes things have to be done quickly. We're sorry if some people feel that weren't adequately informed. Staff was informed, and sometimes communications don't happen as we think they ought to between staff and commissioners, apparently. So no further discussion on this. We're going to call the resolution. It's before the board. All those in favor of this resolution, please say aye.
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 All opposed?
Nay.
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 Okay. Oh, thank you. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Resolution 2026-08 is adopted. Thank you all very much. We'll schedule our next meeting at a later date. Thank you all.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Oh, yes, we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. A second.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning the meeting, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
Thank you. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.